This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Yuan Godfrey.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today in our studio, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing your neighbor, Stacy Gooding. She is the owner of Good Order Professional Organization. Stacy, welcome. How are you today?
I'm really well, Yuan. Thank you for having me. It's a really nice opportunity to be able to get to talk to your audience.
Wonderful. We appreciate you being here. This is the platform we have designated to allow business to provide more education to the audience. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your business, Stacy?
Yes, of course. I'd love to. Thank you. Again, my name is Stacy Gooding, and I own a boutique professional organizing company based out of Beverly. It's called Good Order, and I serve the North Shore and the Greater Cape Ann area. I offer decluttering, organizing, and move concierge services for people. And I focus also on some responsible recycling efforts for people who do have things in their home that they want to get rid of and don't feel great about putting it in a landfill or just putting it out on the curb for the garbage collectors. And so I have resources to be able to help people with the responsible disposal of those things.
Wonderful. Beautiful. So how did you get into this business?
So interestingly, for 22 years, I worked in wealth management and trust administration, mostly in law firm models, which is a far cry from professional organizing. But when the pandemic hit, it changed my perspective, like I think it did for many of us, and got us to focus on what might be really important to us. And on a personal level, wealth management didn't feel that important to me anymore. But what I did know is that I loved working with people. And so I, with the support and encouragement of my husband, I decided that I would launch Good Order. Organizing is something that's inherent to me. It's comforting to me. I've always enjoyed having order in my life. And I knew that it was something I could do really well and help other people with. I think not all of us are great at everything, right? I'm not a plumber. I'm not a neurosurgeon, the same way you're not an expert in anything other than what you do. And so I think it's really important for people to know that there are resources out there and there are people and companies like mine that they can call on for help with things that they're not great at. And organizing is one of those things that I love doing and helping other people with.
Wonderful. Well said. The beauty about organizing is that everything has a place. And when you put it in the place that it belongs, it's so much easier to find it. You know?
Yes. And for me personally, I know it's really gratifying to me. My husband used to tease me when we were dating. He would call my apartment the museum. And I was always really flattered by that.
That's cute. That's cute. So what are some myths or misconceptions in your industry, Stacy?
Oh, this is a good question. So one of the most common misconceptions or myths that I hear from clients or prospective clients is that they're really afraid I'm going to make them get rid of all of their stuff. And this really breaks my heart for a number of reasons because it's just not true. And as an organizer, my job is to help guide a client through the decision-making process in order to decide and assign value to the things that matter to them, not to me. And that's the distinction. So it's a really vulnerable thing to invite a stranger into your home and ask them to help make sense of their home for them. And so when you're doing that, it's really important to be delicate and thoughtful and considerate so that they're making the decisions and assigning the value, because these are really their belongings and it's going to be what impacts their day-to-day life, not mine. And so that's a really big myth and misconception. And I'm glad that you asked about it because I obviously want people to understand that working with an organizer isn't about them deciding what's good for you. It's about helping you make the decision and come to the decision yourself.
You know, sometimes you got to hold the hands and walk them through it as gently and sensitively as possibly.
Yep, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it.
So outside of work, Stacy, what do you do for fun?
Oh gosh. So my husband and I, we love to spend our summers up at the lake in New Hampshire, which is where I was raised. Nice. And we have 2 chocolate labs. We love boating and dock diving with them. And we love to travel. This summer, we were actually fortunate enough to go with a group of my in-laws, my husband's family, to Greece, which was just amazing. And so we love to travel whenever we can. Who doesn't, right? But our favorite thing is to go to Europe. And this was our 3rd trip to Greece. So we've been very blessed that way. And I'm also separately right now taking an American Sign Language class, which I love. I just thought it would be a really challenging thing to do for myself personally. And it would be a really nice service to be able to offer to my prospective clients as well, if they're at all hearing impaired.
That's beautiful. And how long have you been taking the sign language?
I'm in my third week and it shows. I practice every week, but it's really, really wonderful. It's an 8-week program, but we are fortunate enough in Beverly to have a school for the deaf. And so there's some engagement there. And there's also a member, the director of that particular school is a member of the chamber with me as well. So I'll have some opportunity to try to use my skills and improve them in the coming months.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. That's a language that is easily overlooked. We're so focused on Spanish and every other language, but sign language is so grossly overlooked, and it's a beautiful language to learn.
It is, and it's very expressive and animated, and it can be really fun to do, but you need to make sure you're doing it correctly. And so I've downloaded the apps, and I'm working really hard to be good at it. I'm taking it very seriously, and I hope I don't say the wrong thing when I'm practicing.
Nice. I love it. I have an interest in that as well. So let's change gears. Sure. Can you describe one hardship or one of life's challenge that you rose above and can now say because of it, you're a better and stronger person? What comes to your mind?
Wow, this is a good question. I don't talk about this often with people, just because I don't feel like it is the most important thing about me, but I do think it's helped shape me. I was born to a teen mom, and I think that in and of itself is a challenge. And I was the second of 2 children born to my mom as a teenager. And so I think, when you're a kid raising kids, there's inherently a lot that can go wrong or be more challenging or difficult. And I think growing up with a mom who basically was a kid was a big challenge for me in my life, but I think it taught me resiliency and how to be independent at a very early age, and how to really kind of bond together with my brother and my mother, and we really were a unit. And I do look back on some of the times of my childhood and wonder how we ever made it through. But my brother and I are both really kind of independent, college educated people. We've done very well in our lives despite the challenges that were dealt to us. And I look back and I'm really proud of us. And I really do think that having to work extra hard for things when you're not all on a level playing field has really made a huge impact on who I am as a person and how I approach my life personally.
And you know what? You are a reflection of your mom, who was more than a conqueror despite being very young mom. And so I would say to God be the glory, because that's the only thing that comes to my mind. To God be all the glory.
Well, thank you for saying that. I think my mother's a remarkable person, and her strength knows no bounds.
Beautiful. Yes. Kudos to mom.
Yeah.
So Stacy, please tell our listeners one thing they should remember about Good Order Professional Organization.
Yeah. So at Good Order, so one of the things I talk about a lot on my social media platforms and with clients as well, and I do a monthly blog, so I talk a lot about this kind of thing in that blog as well, is there's science-backed proof that clutter and disorganization creates stress, depression, and anxiety in people. And so that's a really serious thing, right? To have that kind of stress hanging over you all the time. So there's a real need for the type of work I do. And I want to make sure that people understand that there's no shame in asking for help. A lot of my clients talk about how embarrassed they are when I come into their home and see a room that they need help with. And I really want to work really hard to dispel that for people, because there's no shame in asking for help. I think when you make yourself vulnerable and you put yourself out there and you say, I want to do better, that's remarkable. That should be applauded. And I don't see any shame in that. So as a result, I knew that when I was approaching this work with people, I needed to be really intentional and include my own core values when I'm working with my clients. And one of those core values for me is bringing empathy and kindness and grace to the table when I'm working with people. They don't need judgment from me. If they've asked me for help, they need the qualities I've just talked about. And I think it's really important to show my clients in the course of working together that taking care of themselves means their space too. And that's a really important foundational tenet for me in terms of how I approach my company and my work with my clients, is that I want them to understand that taking care of their space isn't shameful, and they shouldn't be embarrassed about asking for help, and they should celebrate the fact that they want to know better and do better. And I'm really proud of my clients when they are able to achieve that and when I can help them get there.
That's very beautiful. Nicely said, very intuitive, very sensitive. anyone working with you can feel that you are not doing your job just to be doing your job, but you care. There's a level of sensitivity that they can feel in you. And that's great, because when you love what you do, it exudes you. And it sounds like what you're doing more than exudes you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that sentiment. And I'm glad that shows, because it really does mean a lot to me. I know what a comfort the order in my own home is. And so I want to make sure I'm delivering that to every single client that I work with.
Beautiful. So how can our listeners learn more about Good Order Professional Organization?
Sure. So Good Order Professional Organizing is, I have my own website, which is goodorderllc.com. And you can subscribe to my monthly blog there, which can get emailed directly to you if you like. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. The handle for those is @GoodOrderLLC. And I pick a different theme every month and talk about that throughout the month. And the upcoming theme for November is going to be, getting yourself ready for the upcoming holiday season, getting everything in order, getting organized for the holidays. And so if that interests you at all, sign up for my blog, subscribe to my monthly blog, and follow me on social medias. I'd love to be able to give you a little bit of education about bringing order to your own life.
Beautiful. The holiday is right around the corner, so no time to waste.
They really are. They're going to be here before you know it.
Well, Stacy, I really appreciate you being on the show with us today. We wish you and your business all the best moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpnorthshore.com. That's gnpnorthshore.com. Or call 857-703-9406.